ultimately the recognition that there is a strong angle and there is a weak angle in every situation is the starting point. So the strong angle, when it comes down to it, and I've studied a lot of sports psychology, over the years, is really about aligning your self-image with your self-efficacy, right? So your self-image, right, is one of the most important things in sports psychology to manage, because if you don't believe that you're the person, like the imposter syndrome thing that we've talked about a lot, right?
Oh, yeah.
If you don't
Oh, yeah.
believe that you're the person that deserves to be out there doing the thing that you're doing, right, you're going to have a lot of mental anguish, right? And so then with that comes self-efficacy. I can still remember the first time, like 12 years ago, when I came across this world, as an ex-athlete and, owning my own business. Self-efficacy. It was like, that's it right there. That's the word, right? That's what everybody's missing. Now we have a definition for it, right? The perception of your own abilities to perform, right, is the most critical thing for performance psychology, right? And if you're not putting that first, and you're not managing that in your life, it might as well be last, because you're leaving yourself so vulnerable to, and that's what we see in the world today, right? Everybody puts themselves into this weak angle and they don't know it. And then they're like, I don't know why I'm so stressed out. And I don't know why I'm so unfulfilled and I'm not happy, because they're not managing their self-image and they're not managing their self-efficacy, and they're unaware that this even exists. At the beginning of the book, I talk that one of the first lines of the book is, after having my doctorate and all of these things, what you really learn is that, unfortunately, you learn the most important things last. And I guess that's where I'm at now, is I'm tired of people having to live that way. So I wanted to put this collection of all of this stuff together to go, look, this is the starting point, right? You want to start with all the best information, right? Instead of ending up in physical therapy, and which typically happens to people, and you're like, oh, hey, I bet you didn't know this. I bet you didn't know that 99% of these non-contact injuries were preventable, and all of these things that go on. And people are like, oh my gosh, I never knew that, right? And ultimately, this physical therapy perspective and point of view is so important, because we're really the functional experts, right? The science that we use is guaranteed to get people a functional transformation, right? And that's what the strong angle is all about. It's about understanding this certainty and the guarantee that you can get this functional, real world transformation in your wellness and performance. You just have to access it.
I love it. Let's transition right into the physical therapy industry, the fitness industry. Nobody's more passionate than both you and I on kind of bringing healthcare and fitness together. They are traditionally very different worlds. And I personally believe that bringing them together is the absolute best way to serve, our communities and to serve the world. And you and I have both taken on a big battle in trying to do that. So why is it, generally speaking, failing? Why are we failing those industries and bringing them together to impact the health of our communities? What's the problem? What's the gap? And how does all this conversation about the strong angle come into play?
Exactly. And that's what I'm excited to keep talking about, because, either I'm right or I'm crazy, right? So basically everything that we're talking about that's wrong with everything is a misalignment, right? In healthcare, we treat everybody like a patient. That's the word that we use. What does that mean, right? You're immediately demeaning somebody's status as a human, right? That human doesn't want to be a patient, right? They want to go back to living their lives. And more than anything, right, they want to have improvement in their wellness and performance. And when they go into that medical situation, they don't really get that, right? And then when they go into the fitness situation, they don't really get that either, because most of what we've done over the years, and this is what happens when you're in the weak angle, right, is that you have to conform to rituals and rules and routines and be disciplined. Discipline equals freedom. And you got to embrace the grind, and you got to grind. You got to be miserable to be happy. What? Right? That is just so not true, right? The happiest people are the ones that are the most fulfilled, because they're in the appropriate alignment, the alignment with their self-image and their self-efficacy. And the people in the healthcare world and the people in the fitness world, I don't know why we don't study performance psychology, but we don't. Right. And then in the world of business, right, everything is just designed to get people to get money out of their pocket and make a transaction. But it's not really designed to improve their wellness and their performance. If it's not designed to improve their wellness and performance, there's no way that it can guarantee it, right? It doesn't start with that. And if you want to get, coming back to this idea of alignment, you have to start with the end in mind. So then you can align the two things together, right? So if you don't know where you're starting, how are you ever going to get to where you want to go? Right. So and that's the biggest thing about this, even the best of the best people that you know right now are in the weak angle because they have no idea how to connect right now with this transformation. Right. They haven't even been asking those questions.